In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to build a digital clock using JavaScript. This digital clock should show you according to wherever it is that you are in the world, according to your time zone, the current day of the week, the current month, the current day of the month, the year, the hour, a blinking time separator, which shows you the seconds, the current minutes, and whether it is AM or PM. The code we're going to be using to build this program is HTML, JavaScript, and to style it, Cascading Style Sheets. This is the code that we're going to be using. I'm going to take you through it from beginning to end. So let's get started. Starting with a basic HTML structure, I've declared the HTML5 doctype declaration at the top, followed by the HTML tag, the head tag, title tag. Our title is digital clock. Underneath the title is the Cascading Style Sheet tag. We're going to use that later. Underneath the Cascading Style Sheet tag is the JavaScript tag. The style tag and the script tag are both contained within the head tag. Next follows the body tag, and the entire document is contained within the HTML tag. We're going to start writing our first function. To begin, write the word function, followed by the name of the function. In JavaScript, when the name of an item has two words, such as timestamp, we use what's called camel case, meaning that the first word is written all in lowercase, and the first letter of the following words is capitalized, like the humps on a camel. After the name of the function, write an opening and closing parentheses. Inside the parentheses, we could place a placeholder variable, but we're not going to use one of those right now. After the parentheses, write an opening and closing curly bracket. And inside the curly brackets goes the body of the function. I'm going to write our first variable. I'm going to name it month array. This variable month array is going to be an array. You can tell that a variable is an array because of the opening and closing square brackets. Always end all variables with a semicolon. The semicolon signifies the closing of the variable or the statement. Inside the square brackets, I'm going to write the 12 months of the year. Every month is contained within quotations, and the first letter of every month is capitalized because that is how we want it to appear on the web page. Every month contained within quotations is separated by a comma. We have 12 months from January to December. In arrays, you start counting by the number 0. So even though we have 12 months here, January is not the number 1. January is the number 0. February the number 1, March 2, April 3, May 4, June 5, July 6, August 7, September 8, October 9, November 10, and December 11. The last item in the array is not ended with a comma. It just ends with the square bracket and the semicolon. The next variable is also an array. This one is named weekday array because it contains the 7 days of the week. Again, in arrays, you start the item count from the number 0. So Sunday is 0, Monday is 1, Tuesday is 2, Wednesday is 3, Thursday is 4, Friday is 5, and Saturday is 6. Following the weekday array, I've declared some of the other variables that we're going to use. Currently they're undefined. As I define them, I'm going to explain them. Here I've defined the date variable. When you define a variable, you make it equal to something. I've made it equal to a built-in JavaScript function called date. Get the date up to the exact second, you write new date. Here we are calling the JavaScript function date. When you call a function, you write the name of the function followed by the opening and closing parentheses. A built-in function is already written and defined. A built-in function belongs to the JavaScript language. It's part of it. It's part of the language. So here we are just calling it and assigning it to date. So we can see what our work looks like so far. I've created a div tag inside of the body. And inside the div tag, I've created a span tag with an ID equal to first. First is surrounded by quotation marks. After creating the ID first inside the HTML body, I've created another variable called first inside of the JavaScript and defined it with document.getElementById, written in camel case. Inside the parentheses is the word first surrounded by quotations. This first refers to the ID first here in the document. That's why we write document.getElementById. GetElementById is another built-in function of JavaScript. When you use a function inside of a function, it's called a method. The value of the variable first is entangled with the HTML ID first. But up until now, that value was blank. It was nothing. To change that, we assign the value of the variable date, written here, to first. To do that, write first dot inner HTML, HTML all capitalized, equals date. This is all written within the timestamp function. Now, to be able to run our program, we're going to need to write a new function. Window.onload is inside the script tag. This statement means that after the browser loads the HTML document, this function will be run. And inside of this function, we call the timestamp function. When we call the timestamp function, all of this code will run. And because the first ID is entangled with the value of first.innerHTML, we should be able to see it in the document. Window.onload is used because it runs the functions you want after the HTML document has loaded. If your functions run before the completion of the HTML document loading, you won't see anything. So you need to wait until the HTML document loads first, and then you should run your functions. So they have a document or HTML page in which to display their results. Now we should be able to see our work. So save your document if you haven't done so already. If you're using Aptana, you can see it with the preview window, this icon here. And there it is. Sunday, February 22, 2015. 0900 and 11 milliseconds. Greenwich Mean Time dash 0500 Eastern Standard Time. If you're using a text browser, just click on your file. Remember, our file was digital.html, and it should open in your browser. Running on Chrome. Now that we have something to show, we can start styling our HTML document. To our div tag, I've given a class of daily. Now going back to our style tag, I've written here the daily class. To write a class, type dot and the name of the class, which is daily, opening and closing curly brackets. Inside the daily class, every one of these here is called an attribute. We're going to go through this quick because this is a JavaScript tutorial, not a Cascading Style Sheet tutorial. So I've given it a background color of black, a border bottom of 0 pixels, a border color of hashtag 151B54, border radius of 5 pixels, border style, solid, box shadow, 8 pixels by 8 pixels by 6 pixels by -2 pixels. Hashtag 250517, color is steel blue, cursor is pointer, display inline block, font family lobster, font size 30 pixels, font weight lighter, letter spacing 2.5 pixels, padding bottom 2 pixels, padding left 65 pixels, padding top 2 pixels, position is absolute, top is 125 pixels, left is 75 pixels, width is 1000 pixels. Inside style sheets, if the attribute name has more than one word, the words are separated by dashes, such as background dash color, followed by a colon, and the attribute value, closed by a semicolon. To be able to use this font family name, lobster, this font belongs to Google, so you need to link to it. To link to Google for this font, type opening angle bracket, link, hypertext reference equals open quotations http://fonts.googleapis.com/css?family equals capital L lobster, rel in quotation style sheet, type in quotations text/CSS. Close the angle bracket with a / and the closing angle bracket. So save your document, and this is the result. The built-in date function of JavaScript gives you the date, but this is ugly. We're going to edit it so it displays more presentable and cleaner. Now we're going to style the body. Here in the style sheet, the body tag refers to the HTML body tag here. Within the style sheet, you only need to write body with nothing else. The body's going to have the attribute background color rosy brown. An extra effect that we can add to the body is body hover. This refers to when you pass the mouse over the top of the body element, the background color should change to salmon. Here to the daily class, I've also added the hover effect. When hovering the mouse over the element, the border color is going to change to hashtag 2B3856. The box shadow will be 8 pixels by 8 pixels by 6 pixels by -2 pixels, hashtag 7E587E. Color will be cyan, and the text shadow will be 3 pixels by 3 pixels by 3 pixels, hashtag 68287E. So save your document and let's take a look at what it looks like. When you hover the mouse over the element, you see the effect. The colors change, the shadows change. Going back to the JavaScript, I've defined the day variable with date.getDate. This date refers to the variable date here, and the built-in function getDate refers to the number of the day of the current month. So if today is the 22nd, when I change the value of first.innerHTML to the variable day instead of date, and we save it and preview it, we get 22. Next, we're defining the month variable with month array, open square bracket, date dot get month, open and close parentheses, close square bracket, and the semicolon. This name month array refers to our array here at the top, month array. This date refers to the variable date here, and get month is another built-in JavaScript function. This expression date.getMonth will be returning the current number of the month within the current year. So remembering that in programming, whenever you're counting in programming, the count most likely always starts at 0. So this expression date.getMonth will be returning the number 1 because the month is February. So month array will have, instead of its square brackets, you could say that it has the number 1. When we look at our array here, month array, which we defined before, January is the number 0, February is the number 1. When we define first.innerHTML with the value of the variable month and save our document and preview it, we get February. Now I've defined the variable year with date.getDate. get full year, in camel case, opening closing parentheses. Get full year is another built-in JavaScript function. Built-in functions were made by the programmers that made the language so that the language is more useful. So that me, the programmer, another programmer, I don't have to write everything. It's almost like a user interface for the programmers that are programming in JavaScript. So when I define first.inner HTML with the variable year, and I save it and I preview it, I get 2015. And we can start piecing these variables together. To do that, just type the name of the month, a plus sign. In JavaScript, this is called concatenation. The variable day, another plus sign, and let's see what that looks like. It's all jumbled up because we didn't add any spaces. So let's go back to the code. And to add spaces, put quotation marks, another plus sign, opening and closing quotation marks with a space in between them. And let's save it. Now we have February 22nd, 2015. Here in this space, I'm going to place a comma. That creates a string. So now we have February 22nd, comma, 2015. Now I've defined the weekday variable with weekday array, open square bracket, date dot get day, open and closing parentheses, closing square bracket, and the semicolon. Weekday array refers to our weekday array up here, which holds the names of the days in the week. GetDay is a built-in JavaScript function. The statement date.getDay refers to the number of the current day of the week. Today is Sunday, so this number is going to be 0 if we start counting from 0. So you could say that inside the square brackets of weekday array, inside here is the number 0. So if we look at our array here, the defined spot for 0 is Sunday. So after we add the variable weekday to first.inner HTML and we concatenate it with the other variable names and add a comma inside the space here, save it and preview it, we get Sunday, February 22nd, 2015. Now I've defined the variable time with date dot to locale time string, open and closing parentheses, to locale time string in camel case. To locale time string is another built-in function. I'll need to explain how we're going to edit this time value. So I've commented out what we've done so far inside first.inner HTML. When I comment this code out, it doesn't get read, so it gets ignored. To first add in our HTML, I've now assigned the value of time. And let's save the document and preview what it looks like. It reads 2:30 and 55 seconds p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I need to edit this string because that's not how I want to display the time. So let's do that. So I'm going to show you how to do that. To be able to edit the value of the variable time, which is date.toLocale time string, I've declared 3 more variables. The first variable, hours, is defined that has time.substring, open parentheses, 0, comma, time.search, open parentheses, in quotations, the colon sign, close parentheses, semicolon. Substring is a built-in function of JavaScript, and so is search. This expression time.substring refers to in the value of the variable time, starting from the very beginning of the string of the value of the variable time, just the number 0, that's the starting point. This substring will start at 0 and it will end once it reaches the semicolon. This search function is searching for this character symbol, the semicolon. So let's take a look at the preview. Starting from 0, that would be here in the time the number 2. Substring will begin at 0 and cut off before it reaches the semicolon. So only this first digit will be displayed. We start at 0 and end before the semicolon because then it doesn't matter if this first digit is a single digit number or a 2-digit number. Right now it's a single digit, but if it were 10, 11, or 12 in the afternoon or in the morning, then the number displayed is still from the starting point until before the semicolon. So let's change the value of first.inner HTML to variable hours. And let's take a look at what that looks like. The number 2. And this commented out code, but I've added the variable hours to the end. But before that, a space with a period. So let's take a look at what that looks like. Sunday, February 22nd, 2015, and the hour is 2. So JavaScript is a dynamic language. What that means is that it will keep on running in your browser without you having to refresh the page. So to show that, I've taken out the hours variable out of the end of this statement, and I placed the variable time in here again, which is this time date2locale time string. Let's save it and preview it, and this is what we get. Right now this page is static, meaning that everything's standing still. You don't see the time moving here. Let's change that. Let's make it dynamic. To make it dynamic, we'll place our timestamp function inside this setInterval function. SetInterval is a built-in function. You write set camel case interval, open parentheses, function, open and closing parentheses, open curly bracket, call the timestamp function, close the curly bracket, comma, and the number 1000, which refers to 1000 milliseconds, which is equal to 1 second. Close parentheses and a semicolon at the end. This interval statement will run the timestamp function every second. So let's save it and take a look at what that looks like. So now our page is dynamic. You see the time moving. I'm continuing to edit this video on another day so you can see that the time has changed. It's now Monday, February 23rd, 2015, 3 a.m. 42 minutes and 07 seconds. So to continue with our editing process of the time, I've created another span tag inside the div class in our body, and I've given it an ID of second. And here in our timestamp function, I've declared the variable second and assigned it the value of document getElementById by second, which refers to the span ID here in the body of the HTML document. So back here in first.innerHTML, I'm going to change that last time variable. I'm going to change it back to hours. Save it. And that's what it looks like. To the minutes variable, I have assigned the value of time.substring, open parentheses, time.search, open parentheses, in quotations, colon, close parentheses, +1, comma, time last index of in camel case, open parentheses, in quotations, colon, close quotations, close parentheses, semicolon. What this means is that in the string of time, this substring will search for the symbol of colon and start one character ahead of the colon and end before the last colon. In the time string, there's two colon symbols. The first one and separating the hour from the minutes, and the last one separating the minutes from the seconds. Underneath the variable second, I've declared second.innerHTML and set it equal to minutes, the minutes variable over here. This document getElementById second is entangled with the span ID inside the div of the body of the HTML document. So let's save it and preview it. And the hour is now 4:04. There's no colon here in between the hour and the minutes. Let's add that. I've added another span tag with an ID of colon in between the first and second span tags. But in this span tag, I've added the symbol colon. Let's see what that looks like. So to make this time separator start blinking, this colon, I'm going to make another function. So here inside the JavaScript, after the ending of the timestamp function, I've declared the function seconds. Write function seconds, open and closing parentheses, open curly bracket, and closing curly bracket. Inside the function, I've declared the variable colon equal to document getElement by ID colon, which is entangled to the span ID colon here in the HTML body. And within the style tag of the style sheet, I've declared another class, the class hide. To do that, type dot hide open and closing curly brackets. Inside the curly brackets, I declare the property visibility colon with the value of hidden and semicolon. Back to the seconds function, write an if else statement. This statement reads if open parentheses colon that class name in camel case is not equal to the class hide without a dot at the beginning. The symbol, the bang or exclamation point, and the equals sign means it's not equal to. So if colon that class name is not equal to hide, then do this colon that class name is equal to the class hide and return colon. Then else, meaning if this is not the case, if colon that class name is already equal to hide, then go to the else. Colon that class name is equal to nothing. This empty string resets the value. This empty string resets the value to what it originally was. And we return the colon. And this ends the seconds function. To run the seconds function inside the window onload function, write another set interval function. And inside this set interval function, call the seconds function. So write set interval camel case, open parentheses function, open and closing parentheses, open curly bracket, call the seconds function, seconds, open and closing parentheses, close the curly bracket, comma, and for the number write 500 milliseconds, close parentheses, semicolon. This 500 means that this function will run twice every second. It's running faster than a second. So let's see what that looks like. And here now the semicolon is blinking on and off. The function is running twice every second, but the separator appears to blink on once every second. Now let's finish out the program by adding whether the hour is AM or PM. To finish off the program, I have assigned the value of time.substring, open parentheses, time.search, open parentheses in quotations, capital M, close parentheses, -2, comma, time.search, open parentheses, in quotations, capital M, +1, close parentheses, semicolon. What this means is that in the time string, the substring function will start by searching for the first capital letter M and start 2 characters before that. So right now it is AM, so from the letter M, it will go back to A and then go back one more to an empty space. And this time search M+1 will find the letter M, which is the same M, and end 1 character after that. So it will just display the M. I've concatenated the variable daylight to the variable minutes here in the second.innerHTML. This variable second has the ID of second, which is entangled with the HTML span tag that has the ID of second in the HTML body. So let's take a look at what that looks like. And that is it for this program. Thank you for watching.